my great honor to introduce our speaker today, dear Reverend Rosie, and you know, I've known her for so long. And probably way before that. So beautiful. And it's just made life so much more fun to have her around, huh? Mm-hmm. And okay. I don't have it. Okay, I gotta look her up. But we know how special she is. The wonderful teacher, wonderful Reiki master. I gotta remember my alphabet.
I think it's not that sheet there.
And I guess I could just do it without her. Without this.
I found it.
You picked it up. Reverend Rosie came to First Spiritualist Church in November of 2000 and found and experienced a wonderful healing atmosphere. Like many who come to Spiritualist Church, Reverend Rosie discovered her true treasure, her spiritual path. It's the foundation for serving humanity, and she took many of the classes that First Spiritualist Church offered and was ordained a minister on December 11th, 2005. Reverend Rosie Oberlies is a Reiki master and assistant pastor at First Christian Spiritualist Church. Reverend Rosie believes we have come to the earth plane to learn, live, and express the spiritual life while we are on earth, clothed in a physical body. Let's welcome warmly, please, Reverend Rosie Oberlies.
That is so funny. It's just, let me just put this here. I got them in order here. I thought I got it prepared. Excuse me. What kind of day is this? Huh?
Is Mercury retrograde still?
I don't know.
It's like,
Okay. We're ready now. So, I'll have to say this, when I drove up this morning, the gate wasn't open, so I had to wait out here until somebody got the gate, and so Katie was walking down the street, down near the fence and looking in. So I thought, this worked out okay, and I'll just practice. And so I looked up and I waved to the kitty, and so it was kind of just walking around sniffing and everything, and so I proceeded to go on, and I looked up and there he was laying down. All the time I practiced, that kitty was there, just looking at me, So I just thought that was kind of cute. Alrighty. I'm going to start this out with, isn't it amazing? Oh, here comes Kitty. Isn't it amazing how a verse or a song can open up the door to your mind, to a deeper thought? Sometimes it's different churches, different Bibles, and they'll word it differently, and then you'll kind of like that verse, but then you read it, and it's got the right words, and it just really impacts you. And it makes you think deeper, and then it goes to your heart. Then it goes to your heart when it really is ready for seeds to be planted, And higher thoughts that will not leave you alone, especially if it's time for spiritual growth and time to reach higher enlightenment. Sometimes it can be really pesky because synchronicities keep bringing them in, and I think you're just waiting for the right time when your vibration is ready to accept it, or when the words are really impactful, you know. But a disciplined mind will keep vigilant watch on our thoughts and thinking. Thoughts that will come knocking at our spiritual door that can transform you. When you think of the power of the mind, especially if you have total awareness connected to God, you just don't know what wonderful plans what God has for you. You know, I mean, we've got some brilliant people in this world. And then I think sometimes, I didn't go to college. I don't think I could have made it. It was too much work. And maybe my brain wasn't ready for it. It was ready to do hair. You know, it's more creative. But we don't know the potential that each of us has within ourselves if you just go into a deeper thought when you come across something that kind of resonates with you, especially a verse that resonated with me, and see what it will do for you. Sometimes we slough it off. I've done that, you know. But it comes back, and so then you begin to realize as you grow spiritually, and then you won't slough them off, you know, you'll start to take it and start working with it so that you can go deep into your soul, into your heart. Because all this has to become a daily, moment-to-moment type of expression of your spiritual self. Because it's very hard because of the distraction in life. We have so many things to do, especially Christmas. So, the thoughts can be full of wonderful ideas, but thinking comes in and says, what am I going to do with these thoughts full of ideas? Sometimes you get a lot at the same time. And what am I going to do? What am I going to create with these ideas? And what am I going to do about them? And am I going to talk myself out of them? And sometimes you do that because you look at that phrase, ooh, that's a lot of work. You know, that's a lot of work there. And when they're persistent and pesky and will not leave you alone, you know you have to choose the idea that is your assignment, to which is the one that God would like to express through you. Sometimes it takes months or years that the idea keeps coming to mind. And they are persistent synchronicities that keep encouraging you and wanting your attention to pave a new travel route for your future, your spiritual growth, and for how we will adjust to future changes, because there's going to be a lot of changes. You know, some things that we can't control, a lot of things we don't agree, but God is in charge. He knows what He's doing, and we have the spiritual path. So we have kind of the key to that door to go through all that. And I feel that the chaotic times we have been going through, all our collective consciousness making a way for transformational changes to unfold. Like learning what needs to be let go of, because we see our egos are not benefiting our restless hearts. Something better is coming. And we want our Aquarian humanitarian energy to expand. We're in the age of Aquarius. That's expansive humanitarianism. That's thinking of the other person. It's not always going to be all about me, you know. to clean house on our collective consciousness and what is not compatible and what is not thriving, working for God's favor in our spiritual path. We have to rise to what is promising, that is now beginning to show light in our lives. There's a little bit of glimmer of light that says, be hopeful. Don't dwell on the negative. Just set that aside if you can. When I was having the car worked on, there was this gentleman, he reminded me of this actor, and we got talking about movies, and he, well, see, gee, the old movies were so crystal clear and colorful, and, you know, some of these movies they make nowadays, look like they're made by candlelight. They don't kind of look, and then he said, you know, we can't look back. We have to look forward because there's a lot of good things that are happening. You know, sure, there's things going wrong and stuff, but then I realized, you know, I've been kind of dwelling on that past, and this is the third person I ran into the last couple of months that agreed with my past complaints. I mean, what I missed, and so I thought, and the way he said it, I just thought, no, I gotta start thinking that another day is a sunny day, you know, no matter what, even if it's cloudy. And how are we going to figure out a solution that we can adjust to that will benefit us, and to look forward to hopefully and positively for a new future on the horizon, because there's a new year coming, and it's on its way. And now you're probably wondering, what verse did she see that made her talk like this, you know? So what it was 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23. It goes to 33, 23 to 33. And it was the way this was structured in my Women's Devotional Bible. But I'm going to read from Good News because it's more of the plain one. And so I'm going to read it now, okay? And let's see, 23, okay. We are allowed to do anything, so they say. That is true. But not everything is good. We are allowed to do anything, but not everything is helpful. No one should be looking out for themselves, but the interest of others. You are free to eat anything sold in the meat market without asking any questions, because of your conscience. For as the scripture says, the earth and everything in it belongs to the Lord. If an unbeliever invites you to a meal and you decide to go eat, if you decide to go, eat what is set before you without asking any questions because of your conscience. But if someone tells you this food is offered to idols, then do not eat the food for the sake of the one who told you, and for conscience sake, that is, not your own conscience, but the other person's conscience. Well then, someone asks, why should my freedom to act be limited by another person's conscience? If I thank God for my food, why should someone criticize me about food for which I give thanks? Whatever you do, whether you eat or drink or do it all, do it for God's glory. Live in such a way as to cause no trouble either to Jews or Gentiles or to the church of God. Just do as I do. I try to please everyone in all that I do, not making my own good, but the good of all, so that they might be saved. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be poor, give everything away. It's just making you aware to be more thoughtful you know. Yeah, the one I liked, and the one that really made an impression after about a year, because I came across this verse in 24. Everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible, but not everything is constructive. Nobody should seek his own good, but the good of others. Eat anything sold in the meat market without raising question of conscience, for the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. So whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. Now, when I read that about 3 months ago, that's when it really hit me that, yeah, I'll do the lecture. It's kind of like Susan didn't want to do her lecture because she and I talked. And so she kind of verified for me to go ahead and stick to this. And the moment that I decided, 2 stories came to mind. And one of them was I went to lunch with one of my customers. She's a nun, a Catholic nun, and she's aware that I come to the Spiritualist Church. And so she ordered, and she said, "What are you going to have?" And I said, "Oh, I was thinking of a nice juicy hamburger." And she says to me, "Today is Friday, and we're in Lent season." And I thought, "They're with the hamburger." So I thought it took me back to my childhood when 4 years I was in Catholic school. And I thought, okay, yeah. She was really sweet. There was no trying to push it on me. She just said it so gently. So anyhow, I ordered a tuna sandwich, and when it came, I could make that at home, but I bit into it. It was delicious. It was delicious. It looked like they went out and fished for it, brought it in, and cooked it, and everything. And so I just, after I got through, I thought I would order this again. And it just made me feel really nice inside. Isn't it funny how you think you missed that hamburger, but no, something better came. And the other one was, I was taking care of my goddaughter. Her grandmother was going to work, so she came over and spent the afternoon and evening with me. We ordered a pizza. So I didn't have soda because I didn't expect her to. It was kind of last minute, and so she said, "You want some milk?" And she said, "Oh yeah, okay." And I thought, well, I'll have a little glass of wine. So I said to her, you don't mind if I have a little glass of wine? And she looked at me, really kind of, and she said, no. The anguish on her face, I thought, wow, it's not like I drink all the time. And she, she never, she knew me, but I could think of someone in the family could, so I thought, there must be somebody in the family that would make her speak up like that, But I asked permission, so I said, "Oh, how about just a little bit?" No, she was really, so okay. So I have little fluted glasses, and I fill them with milk, so we toast it with milk in beautiful wine glasses. So there, you're thinking of somebody else, especially, even though it's minor, because you're going to meet people that are going to be a little more difficult, but try to understand. But the stories were very pleasant, I thought, and there's something like, when I thought about him and remembered him, something inside just kind of glowed, I felt like E.T., put your heart light on. Yeah, so. And we should be aware that we too can be beneficial. And we should be thoughtful of what we can do that is beneficial to other people, but be ready for opportunities. And like being beneficial would be like to be a good listener, okay? And so you be a good listener, not to listen with the intent to reply, but with the intent to understand the person better. Now this came from the Daily Bread, because Chris puts out every morning, raise your shine like the postman. The Daily Bread, and this was in it. And I always, sometimes we're so chattery, you know, and don't take that personal, you know, because, I mean, I get all excited and chattery too. But I mean, do we listen when people talk to us? You know? Be a good listener, because it helps you to understand them better and makes them a better friend. Let's see. Yeah, the more you understand an individual, the better quality of a friendship that you'll have. And listening, because they know when you're really listening and you're trying to understand them, they can feel it. It's a form of healing, because they feel very comfortable. They feel that vibration that you can hear every word. And when you start doing that, not be in a hurry to reply or say, oh yeah, that happened to me. Just say, ask questions, you know, how are you doing, you know, in this situation, listen to them. And then, of course, there was another one that came up to, was when two people speak to each other without listening to each other, it can start a little battle for control. Each one has their own opinion, and may force the other one to see their side. You should see and contemplate both opinions and beliefs respectfully. Try to blend both opinions and beliefs into a new understanding that will benefit you both and making progress and healing. When you start doing this with each other, it reverberates out into, you know, the atmosphere. And you can see it sometimes when, well, like the crystal, remember the crystal, if you said good thoughts, the crystal would be really beautiful under the microscope, but if it was detrimental, they just were deformed, you know, so. We should not be motivated by self-interest. We should be prioritize what is beneficial and constructive. Always check with God's Spirit. The freedom of that should be well guarded. If you're not sure, then just go into a quiet meditation and just check with God. He will answer you. He will give you the right words to say. And what teaches, edifies, and benefits our mind should be out of love, concern, and the spiritual well-being of others. You are a light on the spiritual path, so it influences not others to stumble or to hinder their beliefs. You help them grow. You help them make them feel like they have an important. Because sometimes they have some ideas that interprets some things in the Bible, and they need to hear it that way because it'll benefit them. Makes them more clearer. Because sometimes you read the Bible or some spiritual information, and you don't quite understand it. And it takes time to understand it. So the more you can be more, patient with them, that will really help. And then another thing too is maybe we are required to be reminded of the goodness of God. those trials and challenges and all the mountains that we had to climb and overcome, and the worries and concerns, those are all just there to bring you closer to God. We don't like going through them and we suffer through them, but you know, I look back at my life and I can see where all those things that I just felt hard over could have been a lot easier if I had known what I know now. But you have to focus on not the worry and not the problem, but on God, and it keeps you kind of calm and grounded so that you won't be stressed out with it. And God was there all the time in the midst of my obsessive worries. And when I read the verse I was seeking, okay, I'm going to change the thought here. I just want you to be aware that sometimes when we go through things, you know, treat them as if they're bringing you closer to God. We can't go into stressful thoughts or fear. We have to work with it daily, and it will come. It will come if you keep on trying and don't give up. Now, in this verse that I read, you know, it talks about spiritual meat, but it can be interpreted into other things too. Like, you know, people hold grudges and they worry and they have addictions and they gossip, there's hatred, but it's not beneficial to their spirit. It's not beneficial, you know, and you can't get arrested for holding on to unforgiveness. If there was a law against it, if you didn't have your freedom, you'd be in jail. Sorry. But I mean, is how a word can change it. For me, beneficial is stronger, you know? Yeah. We get away with so much nowadays. It really causes havoc on our families and the heartaches between friendships and families and loved ones, and our health suffers. And it not only affects the individual, but it affects the world as you see it. We get away right now with all this bad-mouthing each other and everything, but is it beneficial? We don't turn to God. We don't. So that's why I made a big thing out of this. And I knew it was kind of hard, but I mean, I just prayed we could interpret it nicely. But, and then we have a lot of distractions, but make sure that you devote yourself to being stronger in your spiritual commitment, to meditations, everything. Take time for it. Take time for yourself, because we need that spiritual food so that we can, in this stressful world, because, you know, we're kind of a dim light, it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And we're that stronger light. Okay, so I'm going to close with this helpful thought. It's impossible to know the moment. It's impossible to know in the moment how an act of kindness will reverberate through time. The notion is empowering, and it is frightening, because it means that we are capable of changing the world and responsible for finding the opportunities to protect, to feed, to grow, and to guide love. And this is by Bishop Michael Curry, and that was out of Angels on Earth Guideposts. It's a little magazine. So what I like to end it with, you know, the holidays you come in, and sometimes family gatherings have the little quirky person that kind of throws a wrench in the fire. Just listen and then try to understand. You know, just be patient in case that you come across that. And then an act of kindness can heal years of unforgiveness. It really can, because in my situation, my cousin owed me some money. So I kind of hung on to that, and he did a favor for me, my mother, and that was, I couldn't give him $1 million for what he did. So always know that an act of kindness can heal years of unforgiveness. It really can. So I'll leave that with you, and thank you for listening. Just thank you all.